gas station log. It is April 23rd, 2018. So I was just having this thought, and I was thinking about how I identify with the prophet Elijah based on a passage of scripture that I don't think most people fully understand. But I do, because I can relate to it. We all know that the prophet Elijah came upon times when he didn't have any other way to survive. We're talking about a guy who couldn't take care of himself. He must not have had a job or whatever. He was being chased around the country by Ahab and the evil Jezebel. And so here he is, and God brings him to a stream of water where I'm guessing he just camps out. And God sends ravens to feed him. Now, let's look at this for a second. This is a pretty extreme case. Why is this necessary? Because I believe that Elijah was not functionally normal like everybody else, which is something that I can definitely identify with. I believe that Elijah was not very self-sufficient as a human being. But he learned to be incredibly God-sufficient. He's like, if I have a need, I will rely on God, and God will take care of it. So the thing about Elijah, he's not very self-sufficient, which I can definitely identify with. I'm not very self-sufficient. I have a hard time taking care of myself, but I have learned to trust in Jesus for everything. Because, as I've mentioned so many times, Matthew 6, Jesus says, don't worry about what you will eat and what you will drink and what you will wear. He's basically summing up all of life's basic necessities in this statement. Do I not take care of the birds of the air and the lilies of the field? How much more will I take care of you? So here's Elijah. He's gotten used to trusting God because God always shows up. God always takes care of him. Honestly, I don't think Jesus is looking for us to be self-sufficient. He wants us to be dependent on him. That doesn't mean that you can't, make the most of the self-sufficiency that you have. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think, our human culture, we look at self-sufficiency as a incredible thing, and that God must want us to be self-sufficient. Not as much as you might think. So here's Elijah, one of the greatest prophets of all. Jesus calls him like the head of the prophets. All of the prophets are represented in Elijah. Here's a guy who needed to lean on God just to survive, because he couldn't take care of himself. He couldn't work a job and make money so he could go to the store and feed himself. So he had to live by a stream of water where ravens fed him. This was quite a significant thing that God did to take care of him. And when the stream dried up and the ravens stopped coming, he didn't anticipate this happening and go find something else. He sat there. Here we have Elijah sitting by the riverbank, not wanting anything to change. But he knows the famine is coming. The river starts drying up and the ravens stop coming. And instead of doing what the world would expect him to do, go find something else, he sits there and cries out to the Lord, Lord, what am I supposed to do now? You took away my only way of taking care of myself and feeding myself and stuff like that. He didn't go try to be self-sufficient. He cried out to the Lord whom he was dependent on. And you know what? God didn't really chastise him for it. He's just like, go to this town, go find this widow, and she will take care of you. So here is Elijah. He has to go find this woman, and through a few miracles of him bringing her son back from the dead or something like that, and for her offering the last of her food and oil, like they always had plenty to eat. So here was another miracle that God provided just to serve no other purpose other than to take care of Elijah. Now, I identify with that because I've been through situations like that. I'm not very good at taking care of myself. I went through a season where I lived on SSI. That, to me, was kind of like, you know, living by the streams where ravens fed me. I didn't have to do anything. I always had plenty to eat and plenty to drink because it just came from heaven, or, you know, I mean, it was just provided through no effort of my own. And yeah, gas station log. It's 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. It's being a really good day. We're having a good day today. Yeah. I find it interesting how quickly God is moving my life in a new direction. Makes me wonder what he's got up his sleeve. Up his sleeve. His army, maybe? His army is up his sleevey. I don't know. That's funny. Gas station log. It's 8:13. I got off of work. I just spent the last hour of work busting a guy for breaking into the gas station, and we got it all on video surveillance. I'm not sure exactly why it happened the way that it did, but in the end, justice won, and we know what the guy looks like, what he was wearing, what kind of car he was driving, make and model, and license plate. And those cops are gonna get him, because I believe in justice. So I'm gonna let the Lord have his justice through the law enforcement's good police work, and I'm all about that. I watch Law and Order, I watch Forensic Files, I know how that stuff happens, it's all good. Yeah, buddy. We're gonna get him, stick him to the wall, and be like, yo, you're a burglar, suck it.